Hey everyone, welcome back. For those of you who are new here, my name is Brittany. I'm a health coach and nutritionist, and my channel is all about helping you to create delicious, low FODMAP meals to improve your digestive health. If you're into it, go ahead and subscribe. We put out a new video each week. All right, today we are making enchilada casserole, which is one of my favorite dishes. It's super simple. It is great for using up leftover taco meat. You can also prep it ahead of time in a disposable dish like this, pop it in the freezer, and then thaw it once you're ready to cook it and have a quick dinner that doesn't even require dishes. If you don't want to prep the entire casserole, you can just prep the sauce like I've done here, and then prep your meat with your spices and everything, so you and your family can actually have a fun time layering a casserole. It's a great activity for kids. And I know so many people have been struggling with trying to keep their kids occupied recently. So typically when I make this recipe, I use ground beef, but today we're going to be using ground turkey because I'm making this casserole for a friend who's just had a baby and she loves ground turkey. We're also using this disposable dish so that she doesn't have to do any dishes or anything. This is a pretty simple recipe, so let's just get started. We're going to start by taking our ground turkey over to the stove and cooking it up with some taco seasoning. All right, so we have our pan heating up here on high heat, and we're going to start by adding 2 tablespoons of garlic oil and our ground turkey. I'm starting by adding garlic oil because ground turkey doesn't have a lot of fat in it and it needs fat to cook in. Okay, now we're just going to let this brown for a couple of minutes. Okay, now that our turkey is practically cooked, we're going to add our black beans that have been drained and rinsed. We're also going to be adding our spice mixture, which is 2 teaspoons of cumin, 2 teaspoons chili powder, 1 teaspoon of oregano, 1 teaspoon salt, and 1 teaspoon pepper. We also have a half a teaspoon of cornstarch to help thicken it and turn it into a sauce, which is going to be perfect for all of this moisture from the turkey. Typically, when I make this recipe with ground beef, there isn't a ton of extra water in the pan. So after I add the cornstarch, I will add a 1/4 cup of water. I do want this sauce to be a little bit thicker, so I'm going to add another half teaspoon of cornstarch. There we go. That's looking much better. Let's give it a little taste. Very good. All right, now let's take this back over to the counter and assemble our casserole. Okay, now let's prep the rest of our ingredients. We're going to be using cilantro today, and green onions, and tomatoes in our casserole. Just going to give these a quick chop. I don't know if we'll end up using all of the cilantro, but it's always good to have cut up cilantro in the fridge. That's the great thing about this type of dish. You know, if you don't like a lot of cilantro, don't put a lot. If you don't like green onions, leave them out. I mean, after all, that is the beauty of cooking your own food. All right, so we're using a disposable dish today, but when I use a regular casserole dish, I still heat it at 350 for 30 minutes. If you're using a different size pan, you might have to adjust the time a little bit, but it's generally gonna be around that. So today we're gonna be using my tomatillo sauce, which I've already gone over in a previous video. It's the pork chili verde video. I will link it in the description if you want to see how I actually make it. But I've just taken 2 pounds of tomatillos, shucked and boiled them, 2 jalapeno peppers, boiled them as well, remove the stems, put them in the blender with 2 tablespoons of garlic oil, 2 chicken stock cubes, and 2 bunches of cilantro, and just blended it up. It's very simple. Okay, so let's start with our sauce. You always want to make sure to put sauce at the bottom of your casserole because it's going to keep it from drying out and from sticking to the pan. So I just pour a little in and then kind of tilt it around like this. I think we're going to need a little bit more. There we go. I just have regular corn tortillas here. I'm just going to fold it in half and let it break. And then lay them in here like this. You can Boom. Okay, now we're going to spoon in half of our meat and bean mixture. Spread that evenly. Throw in half of our tomatoes, pinch of cilantro and green onion. Add more sauce. Don't be shy with the sauce. Nobody likes a dry casserole. Okay, now we're going to finish it off with some cheese. I have 3/4 pound of cheese grated here. I don't think we'll use it all, but who knows. I'm going to throw a little bit more sauce on the edges right here because this is where it can tend to get dry. Okay, now we're just going to start the process all over again. Okay, I'm just pressing it down in the middle to make sure it's flat. Now we're going to spoon the other half of our mixture. Okay, add the rest of our tomato. More cilantro. And green onion. Add a good amount of sauce. Very saucy. I'm going to add another layer of cheese. I like to do a thin layer of cheese on this layer because we're just going to top it with more tortillas and then another layer of cheese. So don't want to go too cheese crazy. Okay, now we're going to top it with one more layer of sauce, making sure to get those corners. I feel like bell pepper would probably be like another good addition. All right, so I want a little bit more cheese on this layer, but I hate grating cheese, so I'm just going to use some pre-grated stuff. All right, that's better. So you're probably going to need a whole pound of cheese. All right, now let's finish it off with some cilantro. Sometimes if I have enough extra tomato, I put some tomato on top too. Okay, now we're just going to cover it with foil and pop it in the oven for 25 minutes. That's another reason why I like finishing it off with the cilantro and the green onion, because it puts like a barrier between the cheese and the foil so it doesn't stick as much. All right, let's pop this in the oven. All right, here we have our enchilada casserole. We cooked it at 350 degrees for 25 minutes, covered with foil. After that, I pulled the foil off and none of the cheese even came off. Then we popped it back into the oven at 400 for about 5 to 10 minutes, just to get it like bubbly. All right, I'm really sorry, Julia, but we're gonna have to cut into your casserole so we can plate it up, and I'm gonna have to steal a bite. We're gonna let this sit for about 10 minutes before we cut into it so the cheese and stuff and sauce doesn't go everywhere. So good. Even with the turkey. I do not like ground turkey, but it is still very good. The tomatillo sauce has like a lot of tang in there from the tomatillos. I love the pops of freshness from the tomatoes. It's like nice and gooey. I love this. I love this recipe. It also goes really well with my Spanish rice recipe, so if you guys haven't seen it, you should check it out. All right, guys, there you have it. Low FODMAP enchilada casserole in less than an hour. If you have any other recipes that you'd like me to low FODMAPify, let me know in the comments below. And if you are excited to make this recipe, please like and subscribe. And if you do make it, don't forget to tag me on Instagram. I love seeing you guys make my recipes. All right, thanks again for watching. See you guys next time.